Today's episode of the Streaking Podcast is sponsored by the My Streaks app. In this conversation, Jamie and I talk about the Streaking Growth Matrix, how goals can ignite change, routines can maintain progress, but streaks are what tie it all together. That's exactly what the My Streaks app was built to do. Help you start simple, stay consistent, and grow over time. Whether you're chasing a goal or just keeping the floor steady with a laughably simple streak, My Streaks gives you the daily structure to succeed. Download My Streaks today and step into the zone where real growth happens. Hey there, Streakers. Today on the Streaking Podcast, Jamie and I are going to have a conversation, which we haven't had for quite some time, but the conversation is going to revolve around the Streaking Growth Matrix. The Streaking Growth Matrix, which has been something she and I have been developing for quite some time. We just recently published an article on LinkedIn about it, and we thought, you know what? We ought to cover it off here on the podcast. So we're going to discuss that today, how it came into being, and what it means to you. Without further ado, let's start streaking. What is streaking and why should you do it?
Streaking is how you set up personal winning streaks. Look at who you want to be and what you need to do to become that person. This is streaking.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jamie.
And we are streakers. Through 30 years of marriage and 7 children, we have learned the power of consecutive consistency or streaking.
To start streaking is simple. You just follow these 3 laws. Make it laughably simple, keep a record, and join the streaking community.
Streaking is your hidden superpower. With it, you will consistently progress and grow in whatever area of life you want.
In this podcast, Jeff and I will share all the fun, exciting, serious, solemn, wonderful parts of family, spiritual, professional, and personal life, and how streaking powers it all.
So join us in the conversation, join the movement, and start streaking today.
I am so excited to talk about this today.
How come?
Because I feel like we've spent so much time trying to I feel like we've spent a lot of time coming up with this. I guess that's it. Not knowing exactly what we were coming up with, but just asking questions and being like, well, that's not quite right. And I feel like with the growth matrix, we reached this place where I'm like, yeah. Well, it was funny. Just beforehand, I was looking at the graphic that you did for the growth matrix. And I'm like, that's really good. And you're like, yeah, it is. And I'm like, and I agree with it. And you laughed. But for me, that's a huge thing. I was like, I agree with everything. Right. I don't have any more questions. I don't have any more doubt.
So let's start with just a little bit about how come we had to come up with the growth matrix, because I think that's important in the sense that we've always been trying to figure out how streaks play into behavioral change. In other words, as people are striving to grow and to improve, how is the streak as a tool used in that process?
And I think also, where is it in relation to the other tools that are already out there?
So the other tools being, you've got routine and habit, which are talked about ad nauseum in many different aspects, many different books written, and also goals. Goals, also another one.
Talked about a lot, yes.
And when you look at those 2, routine and habit, I kind of count together. But you look at goal and the habit zone, or what we call them in the growth matrix. A goal is something that most people are familiar with. Mm-hmm. However, I would say most individuals don't necessarily have a concrete definition of what is a goal.
I'm deciding if I still agree with that. So I guess what I'm asking is that, do we have a more solid foundation in that because we spent a lot of time thinking about it, or has there been so much written about it that as a group, as people, do we have a more solid foundation of what a definition of a goal is? Because you have like the SMART goals. Is it attainable? Mm-hmm. Is it recordable?
What is it? S is simple? Is that what? I forget what SMART is. That's the thing. Well, because of the years that I spent at FranklinCovey working on goals, goal is X to Y by when.
Right. That was.
It starts. You have a starting line, a finish line, and a deadline.
Right.
That's pretty much what a goal is. And if you can't measure it, it's not really a goal.
Exactly. And so my question is: do lots of people know that, but setting a goal at that level is hard, or do people still not have that working knowledge? And
I think that goal is used
with visions.
so broadly across so many different things.
That's true.
That there's an objective can be a goal. I'm going to read my scriptures more. That's an objective, but it's not necessarily a goal, but people will call it a goal. And it gets conflated because many organizations say that non-measurable things are goals.
Are goals, yes.
Which in this definition and in what I see, if we're really to be clear on this, a goal is something you can measure. It has definite measurement. That's
why I do like the definition that you give from FranklinCovey. It's an easy thing to remember, and it's an easy thing to put in place. It has a start line. You're starting at a certain time. It has a finish line. You can actively be able to tell if you've finished the goal or reached the goal or not.
Right.
And it's within a certain period of time. It has a deadline.
Right.
So it's very easy to look at what you are talking about as a goal and say, does it fit that criteria?
Right.
And if it doesn't, then it's something else. It's not a goal.
Exactly.
Or you're not willing to commit to it.
That's true. So, example of a goal. I'm going to read. So our family had a goal of reading 200 books as a family, from 0 to 200. So we started at 0 to 200 in 1 year. We had a 12-month goal on that. And that was, a lot of people had 200 books in a year, but that was, we had 9 people working on it at the time.
Yes. And we didn't we didn't necessarily say how long the book had to be.
Right. It could be a children's book.
Yes, we had varying ages.
Because we had tiny children all the way up to teenagers. But the goal was 0 to 200 by the end of the year. Very definable, measurable. We knew exactly. We met every week. We actually used the 4 disciplines of execution process that I taught at FranklinCovey. And we met every week and talked about how many books we'd read that week, or books in process, and then what we were going to do the next week, our commitment in order to reach that goal.
Yep.
Now, a goal in relation to behavioral change, if I'm going to change myself, a goal is a great thing to ignite that. So let's go back to the reading. With reading, we wanted to improve or be better readers, incorporate more reading into our family. And the goal helps us to do that. It ignites that. It helps us get to that level. However, it doesn't do a great job of sustaining.
Right. Oftentimes, once you've passed that
that's
finish line, you're like, we've done that.
Yeah, we've done it. We're not necessarily.
And to your point, we haven't ever circled back to that goal and done something like that in our family again.
No.
We accomplished that goal, and that was it. We moved on.
We got it done.
Which was great. It was a great time in life.
And remember, we moved on to the next goal, which was an organizational goal.
Yes.
That was a fun one.
That was. So these are the kind of discussions that we would have that why I started out the conversation by saying I'm super excited to have come up with the growth matrix, because these were the questions that we were grappling with all the time of, okay, so then we've got this goal zone, this area where goals are a priority, and what they do and what they don't do. And then we've talked a ton about routine and habit, and you put them in the same category. There's a slight difference there, but they're very similar, I feel like.
Yeah.
And the problem that we've always had with the habit, and I love where we've landed. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
But the problem that we've always had is this idea that things will become completely automatic if you do them a certain number of days. And it's always bothered me because I have enough things that it hasn't worked with. I have enough things that I'm like, I did that for that many days.
Well, let's look at the goal of reading the books. I mean, we read pretty much every day or a lot of times a week. You
would just think, what? We did that for a whole year. It would be automatic to just read that many books every year.
Yeah, we just read now all the time.
We do that. But that's not the way that it works. So that was been part of the challenge of right. But on the same note, I do recognize that having a routine does increase my likelihood of doing those things. Like I often do them better or like the routine helps. That's what I guess I'm saying. Having a routine helps. And then the idea of and that's why I feel like a habit is closely linked to a routine is you've developed a routine to try and make it something that you do without having to think about it so much. which is great until something happens that disrupts that routine.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Well, and I think that routine and habit, and we have those in the routine habit zone, they are specifically for maintaining behavior.
Mm-hmm.
However, don't necessarily do a great job of igniting change in behavior.
Right.
It's stuff that I've already been doing or that I want to continue doing, hopefully. There may be, obviously, bad habits do exist, and I want to break those, and those are detracting from growth. But they're in this place of I'm maintaining the behavior in order to keep growing, to keep incrementally or small steps in growth.
Right.
But they don't do anything for being able to start something. Well, when someone says, for example, I want to start a new habit. Well, how do you start a new habit?
Right. The idea of a habit is that it's already started and it's well on its way, and now you're doing it without thinking.
Exactly.
And so how do you start a new one? Do you think we can describe the growth matrix without the visual?
Uh-huh. Okay. I think we can. We can put it on. We'll put it on the YouTube channel so you can see it.
But for people just listening.
Yeah, we'll describe it. I wanted to go, we'll put it up there. That's a good idea. Let me share this so you can see it on the screen.
For people, we put it on YouTube.
Let me allow this window. This window right here. Yep. So people can see that. So here's the streaking growth matrix, if you're looking at it. And we'll describe it to you if you're just listening to us. It's a 2x2 matrix. Across the bottom is maintain behavior. So on the x-axis is maintain behavior from low to high. And what that means is it has low probability of maintaining behavior to high probability of maintaining behavior across the x-axis. On the y-axis, it's change behavior from a low probability of changing behavior to a high probability of changing behavior.
Right.
So that is, and then there's 4 boxes in the very lower, or we'll describe the lower left, and then we'll just give you why we came up with it. Is the wish zone. That means that it's low probability of maintaining and low probability of changing. Okay.
And I love that you came, because we spent some time thinking about this, and it would feel like this is a negative box, like low behavior maintenance, low behavior change.
Right. But low probability of maintaining, low probability of changing.
But I love, instead of it being something negative, it's more like this is where you start. This is where you are, or where you stay if you don't do something. And so it's a wish where all behavioral change kind of starts with a wish.
Yeah, it does.
Well, I wish I was
better. I wish I was this way, or I wish I was doing. And the wish zone is great because you can think of a lot of things that you wish to be. You can have a lot of wishes. That's right.
And it's also the start for the maintenance. Like, I wish I could keep doing this.
Right.
I wish I was more consistent in this area. So it's kind of this place where you start. And if you stay in that place, I also think it's great. It's a great way to define staying in that spot where it's like, well, it's a wish.
Right.
Which I think just the idea of a wish has a little bit of a level of, it's not very permanent. It's fleeting. It's fleeting. I wish I had that. It's a little magical. It's not.
Well, that's a great
not
point.
Super
magical.
Tangible.
Uh-huh.
It's this place where you're like, it's the wish zone, which is a fun place to be. But if you're always going to stay in the wish zone, you're not getting anywhere super tangible.
Right.
So I really like how that's labeled, because I feel like it's very positive, but also recognizing the reality that this is a great place to start. It's a great place to brainstorm. It's a great place to feel warm and fuzzy about. But if you stay there all the time, it's not a super tangible place when it comes to maintenance or growth. You're not going to have a lot of tangible growth. You're not going to have a lot of tangible change. You're not going to have a lot of tangible maintenance.
Right. And that was the other. So something you just brought up that I want to highlight is this whole thing is the growth matrix. So in other words, everything that you're doing in here is related to growth. A wish is related to growth.
Related to it, yes.
Maintenance of certain habits and routines, or in the maintenance side, habits and routines are related to growth.
Yes.
Goals are related to growth. So so then if we move over on the maintain behavior, you've got high maintain, low change, and that's the routine or habit zone.
Yep.
And this is one thing I wanted to highlight, because you don't always need to have behavior change in order to be growing. And I think sometimes people, I'll say I thought that sometimes is you have to be changing to be growing. That's not necessarily the case. A lot of times it's about maintaining behaviors in order to grow.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I'm deciding because you're right. There's been a lot of things that I don't know that I didn't think that I was looking at being like, yeah, if you're going to be growing, you've got to be changing. And what you're saying is, yes, change is a huge part of growth, but I don't know that it's required in order for there to be growth. Can maintaining what you are doing also be a form of growth?
So you're
still doing that thing regularly, therefore you are growing.
Let's use the metaphor of a tree.
Okay.
Tree grows every year.
Mm-hmm.
It maintains getting the same water. The nutrients in the water are necessary for it to grow. That's consistent all the time. I'm getting water, I'm getting nutrients. Does the water change that much, the content of it? No. There may be a little bit more that's needed for a larger tree, but that's where the tree has grown and got roots and everything else. Will you need more nutrients, but does the nutrients themselves change for that particular tree? Not necessarily. And therefore, but if it gets no water or no nutrients, it is not growing.
Right.
So if it's not being maintained, in other words, every week being watered in some way or another, then it will not grow. But it's not like it has to change drastically the nutrient content and the water mixture in order for it to be able to grow.
Right. I feel like I see this a lot in some of the non-tangible things. So I look, for example, gratitude. If I have a streak towards gratitude and I'm just maintaining that streak.
Now, are you talking about a habit or a streak now?
Oh, that's a good point. So what would be a good thing that's a routine that doesn't change, that would consider growth?
I think, though, that's where habit and routine sometimes break down a little bit. But for example, I just changed my morning routine.
Okay.
I now study my scriptures first, and then I go out on my run. It's been difficult. The change has been difficult to do it that way.
Right.
That routine has caused me a little bit of difficulty, because here's what I would do. Here was my morning routine. I'd wake up, I would go in the closet, I would pray, I would get on my workout clothes, and I'd start my morning routine for exercises, and then I would go out and run.
Okay.
I'd come back home, and then I'd get ready for the rest of the day. Well, at the end of the night, I would then read a verse of scripture, okay, or study my scriptures. Now I changed my routine in the morning to be study the scriptures first and then go out on the run and so forth. It has kind of thrown off my morning for a while. Mm-hmm. However, I will get back into that routine, and that routine,
you'll get accustomed to this new routine, this change that you've
exactly
made. And so I guess So to look at this and say a routine and habit, if we're just looking at it in the maintenance area, not the change area.
Right.
So in that example, you changed the routine.
I changed, yeah. But the way the routine was working before, it was great. I mean,
so that's what I guess I was saying is you didn't have to do more. You didn't have to, if you went on a run every day, you didn't necessarily have to run more every day to have growth. Your maintenance was helping you to continue to grow. Or was it just fighting atrophy? Was it like, which in essence is also a part of growth, in the sense that is all growth having to be better than it was, or is some growth? Is there an argument to say that by not having atrophy, you are growing because you're preventing things from...
Absolutely. Because another point that you just bring up, I mean, you look at you and I and our run walk. Now, if we set a goal to do something different, to do 13, to do a half marathon, 13.1 miles, well, then that's going to change how much we run.
Yes.
And we're going to have to run more in order to hit that goal.
And it's going to change. Exactly. And there's going to be
It's
more
going to be
growth
behavioral change.
in that,
Yeah.
in the sense that, okay, I am going to be running farther distances and exercising my lungs at a higher rate than I
Yes.
would be doing a less of a run. However, if my health stays in the wish zone, I wish I would go out and walk every day. You're going to atrophy. You're going to lose growth.
You're going to go backward.
You're going to go backwards because you're not going to stay in the same place.
Right.
So that's a good thing to look at, because health is very specific to that I feel like if we, as you get older, maybe not
right,
for everybody. When you're younger, it's different. But as you get older, if you don't take care of your body will atrophy at a higher rate.
You can see that physically. You can see that mentally. You can see that intellectually. You can see that spiritually. If we're not gaining, we're losing.
We're losing. You see it very visually when somebody breaks a limb and is put in a cast.
Yeah.
And that muscle is not being used.
That's good. Yeah.
And when you take that cast off, even after just a couple months of not using it, that muscle is very weak.
Yeah.
And you can visibly see the atrophy of that muscle. And so in that place, a routine, the kind of growth that you're getting from a routine and a habit is maybe you're not seeing a lot of growth in the sense of, oh, I'm growing more than I was. But what you're seeing is I'm not losing ground.
Right.
I'm maintaining. I'm staying at the same place. Whereas if I was doing nothing, I would be losing ground.
Yeah.
Just because of atrophy.
Yeah. Now, we've talked about the goal. So goal is on the change behavior high, maintain behavior low.
So you've got wish zone in the bottom left corner, and then routine and habit
on the bottom right corner.
And then goal, now we're back on the left side, but the top. So you've got
the goal zone
and
we talked a lot about goals, so we won't go to that. But the question that we had is, okay, so where do streaks fit?
Where do streaks lie in this?
And that's where they do great at both maintaining behavior, their high maintain and their high change. The probability to maintain and the probability to change are both high with a streak.
Yep.
And that is the beauty of a streak, is that you can use it to change behavior. It is a tool by which you can say, I want to, let's go back to our reading example, read more books. So even if you set a goal, you can then have a streak, and this is where it really comes into play. I have a goal to read 10 books in a year or 20 books in a year. Well, then I can have a streak to read at least a paragraph of a book every day.
Every day.
Now, some may say, well, if you have a paragraph streak, that's not going to get you your goal. True.
And I love that we're saying that. We're like, yeah, you're right.
You're right.
It's not. Because you're not using the streak to get to a goal. You're using the goal to get to the streak. Or to get to the goal.
Right.
But the streak helps you to be doing the goal every single day.
Right. And you know that if you need to read 10 books, or you want to read 10 books in a year or 20 books in a year, and you have as a streak at least one paragraph of a book daily, you know that between your streak, which is the floor, and your goal, which is what you're reaching for, you're going to need to read more in that. So you know that you're never not going to read.
Right.
You're going to read every single day because you have a streak around it and you say, I'm not going to miss. And you have some laughably simple way or laughably simple measurement on that, which is one paragraph. Mm-hmm. Now, you know what? I read a paragraph. I'm going to be able to read a page or two today because I have the time, the energy, I'm feeling up to it. And therefore, you read a lot in one day, and that can ebb and flow through the days. But your streak maintains your floor, which gives you the opportunity to stand on that streak to reach for the goal.
And I love that it's in this top corner because I see it in two areas, and you said it so great, where you're like, it helps in both areas. So when it talks about change in behavior, so often when we want to change a behavior, and I see this in myself a lot, I often am inspired by somebody else. And I'm like, I want to be like that. But the person that I'm looking at is further down the road than where I am. But I want to be where they are. That's what's been inspiring. And so the great thing about a streak is that it gives you a place to start. You're like, okay, I'm not going to be where they are right now. They've been doing this longer. They have more experience, whatever that is. My journey is starting right here, but I'm going to start my journey. I'm going to take myself out of the wish zone, and I'm going to say, I want to start this journey. Now, I may set a goal to help me get started, but the streak is still a part of that, because I'm going to say, well, I have this goal. I know how much time, I know where I'm starting, I know where I'm finishing, and a streak is going to help me know what I'm doing at least minimum every day, with a recognition that I'm going to have to do more because it's a goal, but the streak is getting me doing it every day. So that's where it helps with the high behavioral change area. But then I also love that, okay, I set this goal. I knew where I started. I knew where I need to finish. I crossed the finish line. I did it. I've still got this streak that can help me maintain. I may not be maintaining that behavior at the same level that I was when I set the goal, but there's a good possibility that where my floor of my streak was before might have been raised a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Like maybe I raised the floor to that streak because through that goal, I've recognized, oh, I'm better at this. I can do this a little bit better. I can set this as my new streak floor. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you look at it and you're like, that was a great goal. I did it at that level for that period of time. However, I still want this to be a part of my life. Therefore, I still have the streak. I can maintain this behavior
exactly
at this level, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
And the other thing that's great is that a little bit down the road, when I've got another goal, I've still been doing this. The maintenance has been there. Therefore, I can jump right into this goal. I'm not starting way back. I'm starting at a place that I've been like, yeah, I've been doing that. And I'm ready to take it up a notch for a period of time. And the streak has helped you both to start and to maintain, which is awesome.
So I have, and Jamie knows this. So we, for our family, bought a piano. And this was, last Christmas, right? Yeah.
Yeah, last Christmas.
Last Christmas. And I went ahead and set a streak to play at least one note on the piano, or on a piano, because I knew I'd be traveling on some of those. So it wasn't the piano here, but on a piano. It could be a digital piano, like on my iPad, or on our actual piano here. One note, play at least one note every day. So that is my streak. Still my streak today. Keep it alive. And you've been a witness of this. You've seen where I started to where I am now.
Yes.
And I don't have a goal. I don't have a goal to play a certain number of pieces. I don't have a goal to be able to, play Rachmaninoff by the time, whatever it is, or Chopin, or Tchaikovsky, or any of those things. My goal, my streak is just a streak, is to play at least one note on the piano every day. Now, as you've been listening, I'm curious, your honest evaluation, is the streak working?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you are playing, there are times that you sit down. Okay, I'll give you a couple examples. When you first started, you played less, and I witnessed you having to get past some frustration that you used to be able to play better than what you can play now. But you kept the streak, and now I've seen times where, because of the streak, you've picked some different books that you would like to work with. So I've seen you download a book to your iPad that had practice stuff. I've seen you pull out some of the books that we've had in storage that you're like, oh, I'm going to use this one and see if I can play this simplified hymn here.
It is.
I've also seen you, because the piano has it's actually kind of a fun piano, that it has a setting that it will light up and show you which notes to play along with an accompaniment of a song. And I've seen you do that sometimes, where you've learned how to do that better because of the streak. And then there have been times that you've just sat down and totally ad-libbed like you used to all the time, where there's no music reading, there's no note reading, you're not trying to play, you're just making it up yourself and having fun, which you had stopped doing, actually, and weren't doing as much anymore. I am a little surprised to hear you say that you don't have a goal, because I thought maybe you had a goal to play a Christmas song by Christmas.
Nope, no. Okay. I just started practicing Christmas hymns because I thought, it might be interesting if I could play one.
Okay.
But I don't.
But
no
no
goal.
goal.
No goal. Now, if I wanted to, and you bring up a good point, I put a goal in the goal zone, and then my streak, my floor of play at least one note on the piano daily, and then my goal, that will encourage me to practice more for that particular song or songs.
What I love that it does is it gives you a very specific thing. So if to use that, you're like, I'm going to practice a Christmas song. That's very specific now. It's not just anything. And I'm going to I want to be able to play it by Christmas. Like it has a
it has a deadline. Start line, finish line, deadline.
But the beauty is that
great?
Christmas comes, Christmas goes, and you would still have your streak.
And I still have the streak.
And
that's so. Let's go back to the routine for just a second. When I upset my morning routine, had I not had a streak to run or walk at least 1 mile every day, I think it would have gone away for a while, because I totally upset the whole routine in the morning.
And it does take time to find where something fits when you've changed your routine. You're like, oh, it used to fit snugly right here, and now it doesn't. I don't know where to put it. And a streak does answer that question. It's like, it's okay if you don't know where to put it right now, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it real quick. And it doesn't mean that it has to fit in this spot every day, but you did it. And I feel like it gives you some of that time to iron out, okay, where does this now fit in my new routine? Because it's changed. But in the time that you're figuring that out, you're not putting it in the wish zone. You're not like, oh, you're still doing it consistently. But it's giving you the time to figure out, okay, where is this going to fit in my new routine?
I'm no longer saying, I wish I played the piano.
Yeah, you're not saying that anymore. You're like, now
it was a place I started, and I thought that for quite a long time. Because I took piano lessons when I was a kid up till I was about 12 years old, and the piano teacher moved. And since that time, I've done some piano work, and I had some fun in composing some numbers and so forth. However, I hadn't ever really gone back to playing the piano like I've wanted to. Right. And so it stayed in the wish zone for a long time. It was, I wish I could play the piano. When I hear others play the piano, and I'm absolutely mesmerized by people who play the piano. It's just amazing. Organ especially. Organ is, I mean, how you play 2 or 3 keyboards with your feet.
It's fun to watch.
But the piano, just how people are able to sit down and play chords and notes and be able to read something and translate it into music is fascinating. And therefore I would always say, I wish, but I never had any tool, because I could look at it and say, well, I just need to make it a habit. And that is so difficult. You just need to make it a habit. Go ahead.
As you were talking, and as I've been looking at our matrix, I think we've stumbled across something that is key, but maybe has been communicated differently. And the idea is that you start with a habit. And I'm like, I just don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I think you start with a wish, and then you have a goal and a streak that over time can develop into a routine, that over time can be something that has more of a habit-like quality to it.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm hesitant to say that is because I don't believe that there are very many positive things in life that just happen without us thinking about it. I firmly believe that the important positive things that we have in our life require intentionality.
Yeah.
And so this idea that, well, if I just give it a lot of attention for a certain period of time, then it'll be a habit and I won't have to give it that same level of attention. I don't believe it. You may not have to give it the same level of attention, but I do believe that there is always a level of intentionality that is linked to it. I just don't think there's very many good things that happen without me thinking about it. There's a lot of bad things that I feel like can happen without me thinking about it. There's good things that I can do enough times that it's not as difficult for me to do it.
Yeah.
It's not as much mind noise for me to overcome to do it. And that's why I feel that there is a place for the routine and habit zone, that they have a place. But I feel like they are something that come after time.
Yeah.
Not something that comes at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so
that's really good. That's very insightful. I agree 100%.
So it's been nice to have this where it's like there is a place for it, but identifying where I am in the growth matrix and what tool is going to help me is super critical. And I love that we've found a place that we see where streaking fits in that.
So when you need to change your behavior or to get to a goal. In other words, when you need to change behavior to achieve something, that's your goal zone. You're aiming, I wish I could, run a marathon. Okay, that is going to be the goal zone. And a streak is going to be in the streaking zone, run or walk at least 1 mile every day. Mm-hmm. Now, are you going to have to do more than that in order to reach a marathon goal? Sure. But if you just want to be more active, you can just employ a streak.
Yes.
And say, I'm going to run or walk at least 1 mile every day. Eventually, and this is where I think you're right on, out of a streak or out of the streaking zone fall routines and habits.
Right.
And that's great. If they get to the place where you're maintaining something, fantastic. I have found for myself personally, most of the good behaviors that I am aiming to maintain, they remain a streak. Mm-hmm. They don't go into the routine or habit zone. I've found that most of my routines or habits, and let's go with habits specifically, are more around, for example, on playing the piano, where my keys fall on the keyboard, that will become habit. Mm-hmm. It's not there yet where I don't have to think about, that's G on the staff, this is G on the piano.
Right.
It's going to be, I see that and it goes to G, or it goes to C or D flat or whatever it is. That's when it falls into the routine habit zone. So in actuality, I'll still have the streak of playing at least one note on the piano every day. And then the habit of where those keys are on the keyboard will fall out of that streak.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to say it?
The piano is a good example of that.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning, you are having to think.
I have to think.
G on the page is here on the keyboard.
Right. Well, you have that neat little farmland people that show what the keys are.
Yes. But over time, you won't have to do that.
Right.
You'll be able to look at the music and know without thinking. Like your fingers will go to that place.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you'll play every day. Just because I understand,
right?
Have the habit
because I have the habit of knowing where that is.
Where this is.
Still have to have that. Mm-hmm. This has been a dynamic conversation. Thank you for joining us today. We have enjoyed talking about the streaking growth matrix. More to come on that. We're excited for the next time that we talk. We've got a couple of topics. We haven't decided on which one we're going to do next, but I've enjoyed our conversation. If you would like to comment or have questions about the streaking growth matrix or anything with streaking, reach out to Jami or I, Jeffrey, at our email address, Jeffrey, Jeffery, @mystreaksapp.com, or
Jami, Jami, @mystreaksapp.com.
Until we talk again, we hope that you have a marvelous, fantastic, wonderful day. And as always,
keep streaking.
It's the little things that make a better you.